Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sabrina Dami. This is your 13 Now update on this Friday afternoon. It's July 14th, and a lot of the capital region right now is cleaning up after those strong storms hit yesterday afternoon into the evening. Warren County, one of those areas, cleaning up right now. My colleague Dan Levy joins us from there. Dan, we can hear the chainsaws in the background. Are you in Glens Falls right now?
I am in Glens Falls. Yeah, I'm on Garfield Street, which is just a couple of blocks east of Glens Falls High School. This is a densely populated residential neighborhood. And last night they had let's just say, a less than welcome visit from Mother Nature. And what you're seeing behind me, and let me get out of the way, is the end result. This giant maple tree came toppling down last night, just after dinner time, and up until right now, it has been resting on this live power line. And so, even though the storm came through last night, the folks in this neighborhood were kind of on edge all night long because A, this power line was live, and B, the tree was toppled and was still leaning. And they were concerned that these power lines would come down all the way and that they would lose power. But on top of that, the tall tree could have landed on either of a couple of houses, which it did not because they're just taking the last pieces of that tree down. But this was a significant event in this neighborhood. Several streets were blocked off. Shippey Street right around the corner, and here on Garfield Street, they were all blocked off. But right now, the city work crews had to wait until National Grid came to shut off the power. The power was shut off early this afternoon, and things are just about back to normal. Now, whether or not it ever becomes normal, I mean, that's depends on who you ask, but the view, the dynamic in this neighborhood has totally changed because a lot of people depend on these old maple trees and elm trees to protect them from the sun, to shade them. But they're gone, and it's going to be a whole different look here. But of course, the bottom line in any storm, any event like this, there are no reports of any injuries. Sabrina?
That is important. And I was checking the power outages, Dan's a couple hundred still out in Warren County with the estimated restoration time, not until 11 o'clock tonight. But we see the crews behind you working really hard to speed that up.
Right. I'm having trouble hearing you because there's a power saw behind me. But most of the neighborhoods are back open. I see there's a road right down here that is still blocked, but there are work crews that are clearing the debris. Let's see if we can see any of that behind me. I mean, that is part of Garfield Road, Garfield Street, just down the block from me. But people are out there watching the people clean up the debris, and it's kind of a Friday afternoon day at the theater, live theater.
I love your take on it. Dan, thank you very much. I know there's a lot of noise over there. Thank you for giving us a quick update and showing us what's going on in Glens Falls. We'll see you live at 4. Let's bring in my colleague Stella Porter right now. She is south of us in Columbia County. And Stella, what are you seeing over there right now?
Sabrina, we're in Claverick right now. We actually just came into town to get some service to be able to send our story back for our 4 o'clock newscast. But it looks like the damage is in a few pockets around town here. So we've been passing some streets where you'll see no damage, and then other streets, the state DOT is actually in town clearing away debris, quite a few trees down in this area. And some homeowners with some close calls. We actually talked to one man, a tree had fallen on his home and hardly damaged it. So he and his wife just feel extremely lucky that they're going to be fine. Really only siding on their home was damaged. So just a really lucky close call there. And then we also saw a trailer that was pretty badly damaged by trees falling, but luckily someone had just moved out. So really lucky situations here, and the fire department tells us there wasn't much in the way of power outages here, so really just trees falling. But it seems like in terms of injuries or anything, everyone's okay, and nothing really to speak of here.
That is good news. I'm actually just checking the latest on power outages there as well, where you are in Columbia County, Stella. It looks like there are still nearly 500 who don't have power. So, of course, that number is much improved since yesterday. But in Claverick, where you are, according to National Grid, 41 outages still. So
Yeah, and I'll tell you, National Grid is in town. They keep passing us. There's a bunch of trucks here, so definitely people out here working on it.
yes. All right, Stella, thank you for the update from there. And thank you for going to a spot where you have some service so we can get the latest from you. We appreciate it. See you live
Thank
at 4. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Cayano now. Paul, gosh, you were very busy yesterday with all of those storm warnings coming in, the tornado warnings, of course, something extremely serious. And I know you were on wall-to-wall coverage for that. Are we looking at anything severe today?
There could be a couple of severe storms, Sabrina. We are looking at a couple fire up now that are not severe. The ingredients in the atmosphere, not as ripe as yesterday, certainly not as much jet stream energy. We do have a lot of heat and humidity still from yesterday that's left over, but there's just not the coalescence, if you will, around those ingredients at the same time. So it's a factor of timing and ingredients. And right now, while some of that may come together for a couple of bad storms in a little while in the next few hours, nowhere near what we saw yesterday when we had individual storms, but then also that big massive line that rolled through the entire area. So
such a relief.
Yeah,
I know,
totally.
Paul, for people who maybe just didn't get the full follow-up, they may have seen the warnings. Were there any confirmed tornadoes that touched ground? Did we see any evidence of that?
To this point, we have no evidence of any ground truth tornadoes that were reported, but I will say that the tornado warnings were justified. I saw plenty of video and pictures, some of them on my social media, of rotating storms, supercells, massive storms that produced wall clouds and even a couple of funnel cloud sightings, which are, of course, the precursor for tornadoes. And the radar sees those funnel clouds. And while the radar is so impressive and it works so well, it just doesn't tell, hey, this is a funnel cloud or this is on the ground. I mean, that's, you need visual confirmation of that. So we warned for funnel clouds, we warned for rotating storms, and that's why we had the tornado warnings. But luckily, none of those actually touched the ground. As far as we know to this point, some of the damage, again, it's just from straight line winds, but it's bad enough.
Yeah, and just put up a few pictures here, Paul, as before you get to the latest, because this is the kind of stuff we're talking about here. A lot of trees down in the area. I know Dan was showing us in Glens Falls what they're dealing with, but this is kind of across the board, right, Paul, what we're seeing from yesterday's storms?
Yeah, especially with that line that's set up, and so many of us saw it on the radar. It just marched through the area right along the line from north to south. Virtually the whole thing was producing 60-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts. Some communities spared, others, as you see, not so much. But it was the storms out ahead of the line that were producing some of the more intense wind gusts and rotating storms, which luckily now to this point we haven't had any confirmed tornadoes.
Okay, good news. What are we looking at for right now, Paul?
Well, right now you can see on the CDPHP first warning cam that we have some billowing clouds out in the distance beyond downtown Albany. And on the CDPHP first warning cam, it's also 83 degrees. So the warmth and humidity is back. Notice on the first warning live Doppler radar, relatively quiet, but some storms are firing across Schoharie County and around the Middleburg area, approaching Schoharie, and also moving up toward the Schenectady area. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Here we go. And as that actual storm cluster works its way to the north and east, we're going to keep an eye on it to see if we get any stronger wind gusts or downpours. So this is all a part of the system that was hanging out near us yesterday. Again, we don't have quite as much in the way of the ingredients for these storms to get as strong as they were yesterday, but some of them could fire off. And that's, of course, what we'll be watching. Meantime, temperatures in the lower 80s. Some more of these showers and storms on the hour-by-hour forecast rolling through the region. A couple of them on the stronger side. I think the best chance here, we'll draw a line from roughly Manchester, Vermont to Albany and down toward, let's say, over toward Binghamton, points south and east. So the thruway south of Albany, east over into New England, the best chance of some stronger storms. I think the North Country has a smaller chance of some of these storms to move through, but a chance nonetheless. And here's some good news. Saturday looks great. Lots of sunshine for most of the day and dry, but Sunday, boy, do we get into the thick of it again. If these storms aren't severe, at the very least, they're going to produce some heavy downpours, and we don't need that after so much of that rain that we had over the better part of the last week, causing the localized flooding, especially in New England and the North Country. So 68 as we get into the night tonight, the showers and storms that fire move out. An isolated shower or storm tomorrow, but mainly dry, 87. That's the better of the 2 weekend days. Sunday, downhill again, 81 with rain and thunderstorms. Monday looks good, and then we'll sort of go day to day as we get through next week with a couple of chances of more scattered showers and thunderstorms. Sabrina.
All right, Paul, thank you. I know you and Reed are keeping a close eye on things this afternoon. Reed's going to check out some spots that might get hit this afternoon. So we have team coverage once again on yet another stormy afternoon this week, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for 13 Now on this Friday afternoon. We'll have the very latest on all weather-related stories. And, of course, we're following all news across the Capital Region right now. We will see you starting live at 4 on News Channel 13.